And here we are. This is Mike Lodge, the business advisor. And we're starting another day. Beautiful day here in South Carolina. Nice blue skies, green. I can see dogs out playing. There's one dog. His name is Elvis. And he goes into the back where we have what is called Serenity Park. And he plays with his owner. Now, what's cool about this dog is that he is being trained to be a service dog for this man's wife. And it's cool to see him being trained because I tell you, he responds and he is really good with the wife. I've seen the wife out. The wife has dementia. And so he is trained to tell the owner if there's anything wrong. If they can't find the keys, there's all sorts of different things that this dog has been trained in. Every time I see him out there playing, I tell you, I compare him to my dog, and my dog is a slouch, I tell you, compared to Elvis. Elvis is really a good dog out there. I'm watching him right now as he's running and catching a ball. This is his time of the day that he gets to go out and play. I tell you, this whole week, well, we're only into Wednesday of it, but this whole half week has been crazy with the fire in Hawaii that the president fell asleep at, with so many different things happening in the economy. Yesterday we got news that Charles Schwab, which is a bank and investment house, is closing up several of its offices. Boy, this morning's hard to talk, I tell you. I think I need another cup of coffee. But anyway, they are shutting down several of their offices and laying off a lot of their people. And if you look at the back end or the back room information, it doesn't appear that they are financially sound at the moment. So here we have a whole bunch of credit bureaus. In fact, we've had 3 downgrading the banks and also the nation. And now we have Charles Schwab, which is a huge multi-billion, trillion-dollar company, having problems. And we know that other banks have been downgraded because of their liquidity. So we have a problem in the banking industry, and I don't want you to forget that ever, ever, ever. We've had bad management. We haven't been following the management of these companies or the decision making that they have been doing, and so we have a problem. And that problem is now starting to show its head. If you look at the bank that failed in the early portion of this year, bad management. If you look at all the other companies, banks that have failed, bad management. You had individuals sitting on the board that had no banking experience or even some business experience. So when you have a board of directors who do not know what they're doing, you kind of know that the CEO is going to run that thing into the ground. They make a lot of money off of it at the same time. Charles Schwab has been around for a long time. Long, long time. I remember when they first started in San Francisco. And I remember how they were this up-and-coming company. And they got to a point where now they're a huge company. They're probably one of those businesses that we would have to consider too large to fail. So we're going to have to watch this very carefully, because if Charles Schwab is in trouble, that means that a lot of these other banking organizations who took on banks who failed may have some failure themselves. So we're going to have to watch this very, very carefully. I like Charles Schwab. I've always liked them. I've watched them throughout the years as they have grown into what they are now. But sometimes what happens is that people make bad management decisions. And so then the company fails. Watch them very carefully. And I'm asking you also to go out there and check your banks. I talked about this yesterday. I'll talk about it every day because I got a feeling that a bank is going to be in trouble every single day as we talk. Who would ever thought that Co-America Bank would be downgraded? I mean, they've always been a sound organization. But I think that all of these banks have gotten lax with making money off of treasury bonds and everything else that they were into. When the Federal Reserve raised the interest rates, that kind of diluted any of the gains that they had made. And now they're in trouble. So watch them very carefully. Careful. I'll give you a good example on management and how management can be so bad. Several years ago, probably now about 30 years ago, I had a mortgage banking client. And they wanted to get their own line of credit, their own what they call a warehouse line. So that what they could do is that they could go ahead and okay the loan and then sell the loan off. And they had a bank that gave them that warehouse line that they were able to fund the mortgage loans themselves and then sell it off to another bank. And they were a small operation run by two guys, and they asked me to come in and get them audited so that the banks could see that they were in good standing. Which I did. I got them audited, and we got them another warehouse line, and they were able to continue on. The only problem is they did not know how to manage their business. They were not good leaders. They were these types of individuals. In fact, they were both from Hawaii, and they came over to the mainland to start this mortgage company. But they were not good in management. They went to all of these, how you get suckered in on some of these programs where they teach you new ways of doing things, but they're the wrong way. And so they took all the chairs away from their mortgage bankers and made them stand up. They all had to stand up, and they all had to repeat all of these words every single day. And they would always play the song. What was that song? Show Me the Money? No, not Show Me the Money. No. It was Who Let the Dogs Out? And they did that every single morning. I would sit in my office and I would watch this and I would think, if they focused on their business, they would be making money. But they didn't do that. They wanted to do all of these newfangled things. One day they called me into an office and they said, Mike, we really need your help. We need to make some decisions on the future of this company. Because they were losing money. They were not making any money. And it was during the good times of the mortgage industry. So they called me in and they turned the lights out in the office. And there were probably about there was four of us in there. And they said, we're going to do a dreamscape. Something like that. Dreamscape? So the instructions were to close your eyes and see what you see in your mind. So they started out. And one of the guys who owned the company said, I see a bright light. And he went on and told this story. Didn't bring any resolution in any type of direction at all. Then they went to the next person and they said, yes, I see a coconut. And the coconut is opening wide. And he went off onto his story. Had nothing to do with the business whatsoever. Then they went to the third guy, and the third guy did the same thing. And so I said, well, I've closed my eyes, and what I see is we need better management. I said, we have got to organize this organization and focus on the business and operate in the business as a business. We cannot be going off into offshoots of different philosophies of how to run a business. This is a mortgage business, and it has a simple operation. It's not rocket scientists. And no matter what I dream, I'm still going to go back to the point that we need to operate this business as a business. but I added more to it. Of course, I had a dream there. And all my words that I said was what I saw in this dream. So after that, I was the last one to speak. I gave them a full detail of what needed to be done in my dream. They didn't come out with anything in their dream. And they absolutely failed at this dreamscape or whatever they were doing. So we went back and we started implementing the portions of my dream that made sense. And then things started to turn around. We were able to do our own mortgage lending. We were able to do a lot of different things. I left the company several months after that because I knew I couldn't go any further. I couldn't take them any further because their mind was in a totally different direction of actually doing business. They wanted this newfangled dreamscape or whatever they wanted to call it, and it just was not going to happen. They finally shut the business down about a year later because it just was not working for them. You can't take your eyes off the ball. You have to remain focused on the business. It's just like the President of the United States cannot take his eye off the ball. And he has to remain focused on the needs of the nation, not on a political agenda that is a dreamscape. Business owners cannot take their eye off the ball and bring in DEI and all these other things that are supposed to be with equality and social justice and everything. That's not business. That's not what you do in your business. They take their eye off the ball. And then pretty soon they create conflict, and that conflict turns into a downgrade on their business. And banks cannot do the same thing. They've got to remain focused on what they're supposed to be doing of lending money and creating business for the bank and operating it in a confidential mode of operation. But what we're seeing lately is that people are off under these tangents that have nothing to do with their business. And then that does harm. Because when you're not fully focused, you're not listening to your employees, you're not listening to your clients, you're not listening to your customers. In fact, your customers don't even matter anymore because you're off under this agenda, this social welfare, social fighting, social whatever you want to call it agenda that has nothing to do with the business. We saw it happen with Coca-Cola. We saw it happen with Disney. We saw it happen with so many different other companies. Look what happened to Twitter. Twitter turned into X. But Twitter was run by woke political agendas. And it did a lot of damage to the freedom of speech and also to the operations of their business because they lost focus. They overindulged themselves in their own political agenda. And that's never good for a company. So if you are running a company, stay away from all of this DEI and all this other nonsense because it has nothing to do with your business. Listen, there are already equal opportunity laws out there that protect your employees on discrimination. Think about it. This is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor. And if you would like to send me a business question, send it to thebusinessadvisor@gmail.com. If you would like to sit down and talk about business confidentially, book it online at www.lodge-co.com. Everybody go out and have a great day. And don't do any dreamscapes. It's stupid. Bye-bye.